Boom, boom, boom. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Ladies and
What's
gentlemen,
up?
boys and girls, welcome in to the Through the Garden podcast. I'm Tommy. That is Alex. That is Jordan. I don't know. I don't know where, I don't know. What's up, guys?
The ceiling, the sky.
Bears are on knocks. Bears are on hard knocks. So we're only going to talk about positive things here. There's only good things to talk about. And the start of it is the Chicago Bears on hard knocks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like let's start off high, and then we could,
Yes.
dive into the lows.
Yes, obviously we need to talk about the Chicago Cubs. There's stuff going on the South Side. There's national things going on. There's plenty of things to say words about. But we might as well start happy because we received news today that we've been waiting for a very long time. There was widely speculated that it was going to be us this year. And officially, it is us this year. The Chicago Bears will be on Hard Knocks, much to the chagrin of the McCaskies. I didn't see out there that if it was forced upon them or not. But the Bears were one of three teams that it could be forced upon. The other two were the Saints and the Broncos, neither of which are even close to being as entertaining as to what the Chicago Bears have going on. With a new quarterback, a brand new offense, an electric defense, a head coach with a great haircut. These things just put the Chicago Bears well above everybody else. So, Jordan, this is, and Alex, these are the Chicago Bears are things that you write words about. So, who am I to stand in your way?
Yeah, I feel like today kind of was confirmation that Kevin Warren is the kingmaker when it comes to business decisions at Hallis Hall. For years, if not decades, it was Ted Phillips and George McCaskey. That's one of the main reasons why the Bears were never on Hard Knocks, because McCaskey and Phillips refused to do it. But today is a symbol of the new direction that the Bears are headed in under Kevin Warren, who admittedly does still deserve criticism for what's going on with the stadium, but in all other aspects, he seems to be pushing the Bears into a modern era, and this is the latest sign of that. So it's a good time to be a Bears fan.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
I mean, there was obviously so much.
Chicago Bears fan.
We'll see. We'll see. There was so much speculation around this whole thing. We knew that this was probably coming. We heard rumors for months now, and like we were all saying, like it was kind of easy to guess where would the NFL like to go. New Orleans is meh. The Broncos are kind of a mess, and you don't really have the personality there. And people have known for a while the kind of personality that Caleb Williams has, and you're the biggest market of those three teams. So, I mean, it just felt inevitable. And the only thing that we said was, well, we know the McCaskies don't want it. Well, you know what? Tough shit. You're getting it. They are going to be in camp, and HBO Max. And let me say this. If HBO Max is a distraction, then let's ignore the fact that these teams are going to be playing in front of millions of viewers on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, hopefully in the playoffs. I mean, they're surrounded by media 24/7. I mean, it's nothing new to have media around you. Sure, it's a little different with the documentary crew, but I mean, you're going to have to get used to being part of the limelight if you're in the NFL with just how big it is. Yeah. So I don't buy the distraction thing as much as maybe others do.
Yeah, Parkins today on 670 Score made a very good point that the Bears on Hard Knocks, maybe 600, 700,000 people are going to actually tune in and watch the whole thing. Millions of people watch the NFL on a weekly basis. Like, it's not going to be a distraction. It's going to be different. There's going to be dudes with cameras following everybody around. But all in all this is going to do is bring more attention to the Chicago Bears and what's going on. So that would be my next question to you guys is, does the attention kind of scare you a little bit, give you a little PTSD of being, no, I don't know, bad?
No, I feel like they kind of embrace the attention once they selected Caleb Williams as their quarterback. For all the quarterbacks that the Bears have had in the past. They've never had a true celebrity quarterback. I think the closest would probably be Jay Cutler, but I would say that entering the NFL, Caleb Williams' star power is already bigger than what Cutler's ever was. And we're seeing that by all these events that Williams is not only appearing at, but when he's appearing there, he's doing the bear call. He's bringing representation to the Bears. So I don't think in this case the attention is going to be a bad thing.
I mean, I have many reasons to be worried about the Bears, but I don't think Hard Knocks is one of those reasons. And they're
Right.
not going to have the camera right in the playbook. You know, it's like, ooh, look at the playbook. Oh, look, teams, look at that. Look at the playbook. I don't see that as a problem. And I mean, like Jordan said, the personality that Caleb Williams has, he's kind of eaten up everything. And, you know, you once had Mitch Trubisky where he had to turn off the TVs at Hallis Hall. That's not the case with a guy like Caleb Williams. And you know, again, it's not going to necessarily reflect what he does on an NFL field, but in terms of, I think, handling, you know, the spotlight, you know, he's been in this before. He was the number one draft pick. He knew he was the number one draft pick. He knew he was going to Chicago. He knew that the attention would be all on him. I mean, he was documented well in his time in college and heading into the draft. This is just going to be another chapter for him. It may be slightly new, but him getting all this attention is certainly nothing new. And I think when you look at how the Bears are trying to present themselves, you know, like you said with Kevin Warren, they kind of want to give off a different vibe. Will it translate to wins? I don't know, but you kind of like a more outgoing vibe that they have. And hopefully that goes somewhere, you know, better with the culture that you have.
Yeah, this is a completely different franchise than what it was a year ago. I've said it. I think I said it last week. I said it when we drafted Caleb Williams. We were stupid. We are not stupid anymore. This is a completely different franchise. Everything that happened from 1920 to 2023, I'm throwing out the window except for 1985. Everything other than that, I don't care. This is a completely different organization that is being run completely differently on the football side of things, of course. And I'm excited for the attention on the Chicago Bears because for once it's good attention. Like there was one quarterback to draft and they drafted him. And then there was one pick to make at 9 and then they did it. Like they never make the decisions they're supposed to make. So I'm excited that we finally have some attention. Thanksgiving Day game is going to be great. The day after Christmas is going to have a great game. Bears Packers could be for the division at the end of the year. I want to go to the playoffs so bad. I don't know about the division. I don't know whatever. I want to go to the playoffs so bad. And statistically speaking, the teams that are on Hard Knocks actually more times than not do better the season they're on Hard Knocks than the season they were before. Of course, it's not.
The Lions were on a few years ago,
right? Yeah, and so the Bears, what 7-9 last year, 8-9, whatever it was, losing record
7-10.
Yeah, 7-10. Why can't we go 9-8, 10-7, sneak our way into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they could.
That's the hope.
Yeah, and let's start with Hard Knocks. So it's truly, from a football perspective, cool to see the Bears ushering in this new era. With it, I do think fans have to be better. In saying that, that's more so a referendum on the doomsday that was Bears Twitter last weekend after Caleb reportedly had a bad OTA practice. And I think it's causing people to overanalyze OTA practice and what they mean. And overall, that's what Caleb Williams' like 4th time on an NFL field with NFL players. So he's not going to step in and be good right away. There's going to be days where he throws multiple interceptions in camp. Because by the way, the Bears secondary is one of the best units when healthy in the league. So he's going to have tough matchups.
I want Caleb to struggle
and they were there to
OTAs.
support him.
Yeah. I want him to be bad in OTAs. This is exactly what I want, because I want him to go into the summer thinking, crap, I got some work to do, and then come in the fall and then kick ass. That's what I want. I want him to be bad at OTA. So this is music to my ears, because I
Yeah.
want him missing guys. I want the defense to be eating him up, because I want fuel in the tank to get through the summer, because this quarterback situation. Caleb Williams is motivated to be a dude. He knows that he has the opportunity to be the best thing that's ever happened to the Chicago Bears. And the quarterbacks previously also had that situation, but they were never set up quite like Caleb was. And they didn't super have the drive and the people driving them around them to do it. Caleb's got everything in his pocket right now. I want him to be bad right now, and then take off. This is music to my ears. I love the struggle.
OTAs is a little bit where you set your gauge. I mean, especially as a rookie quarterback, you see for the first time what you can get away with your throws at the NFL level that potentially you did get away with at the college level. So go through those learning experiences. I was listening to the Full Go this morning, and Jason Goff was talking about, like, what's an ideal rookie season for Caleb Williams. To me, while the CJ Stroud season, 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, was amazing, I'm not going to care if Caleb has 12, maybe even 15 interceptions, but he also has 28, 29 touchdowns, because one, he's learning what he can get away with at the NFL level, but two, it's Josh Allen all over again. Not saying he's going to come and be Josh Allen this season, but for all the people that get mad about Josh Allen's turnovers, we can't overlook the fact that he accounts for nearly 50 touchdowns every football season. And if Caleb's touchdowns,
he's a modern day Brett Favre.
Yeah, and if Caleb's touchdowns outweigh whatever rookie mistakes there are this season, that's a success.
I would like to start a banned word list on Through the Garden, and the first one I would like is Brett Favre. He should not be allowed to be named in this podcast.
That's fair.
There goes Alex being plankton again.
I feel like he might sue us. Didn't he threaten to sue Pat McAfee?
Oh yeah. So we definitely shouldn't.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, you made some great points. Throw the interceptions, make the mistakes. This is your rookie year. Like, you get a pass in your rookie year. Go crazy.
Look at Peyton Manning. Yeah. Look at John Elway. Look at their rookie years. You could look at a lot of them. I mean, truly, you could look at a lot. I mean, didn't Peyton Manning lead the league in interceptions his rookie year, I believe?
Yeah.
Andrew Luck I think Peyton Manning still has the record for the most interceptions thrown by a rookie quarterback. Maybe of all time in a season. I don't remember what the exact stat is, but he is in the record books as being terrible his rookie season.
Yeah, and I mean, look at
it's still Peyton Manning.
Troy Aikman too.
Yeah,
Troy Aikman was really rough. You can like some of those quarterbacks I just listed: Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, John Elway, Andrew Luck. I mean, before the injuries, he was on, pace to truly be a great quarterback. Before the injuries, but remember his very first NFL game was against the Bears at Soldier Field, 2012, and you're like, wow, he's got a rocket for an arm. He also threw multiple interceptions that game. The Bears beat him. So, there is that realistic expectation that you're going to see a number of mistakes. It's just, you want to see him be productive while making those mistakes. I think that if he went out this year and said, okay, here's 26 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, and 4,000 yards. Yeah, I take that.
4,000 yards put him in the Hall of Fame.
I was about to say, that's easily one of the best passing
quarterback the Bears have ever had.
Quarterback has had. Yeah.
Look, if it honest to God, if we get anything under, I don't know, 16, 17 interceptions from like one a week, give him one a week, Yeah. Let's say he gets under 17 interceptions a year. That's incredible. Really under 20. Just be under 20. That's all we ask for rookie year.
from most quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, outside of your elite of the elite. So wouldn't put Allen in this category, but for most quarterbacks in the NFL, I enter the game expecting them to throw an interception, at least one, because those good quarterbacks do test what they can do. Of course, you have Aaron Rodgers in his prime, who was just dissected defenses.
Never
Word
threw
number two.
picks.
Word number
Right.
two. Word number
Right.
two.
But
I was waiting for that.
But yeah, I mean, taking a look at this list, you have Matthew Stafford with 20 interceptions this first season, Andrew Luck with 18, Carson Palmer with 18, Peyton Manning 28. So
Just be under 20.
Good quarterbacks might struggle the rookie season with interceptions, but that's not a precursor to their career.
Yeah, and this is going to be super easy for me to say because it is May 30th. I think I'm going to be pretty patient this year. I think
We say that now.
We say that
I
now.
think I'm going to be patient this year because we're coming off of Justin Fields is going to be good. Justin Fields is going to be good. Justin Fields is going to be good. And then he wasn't. Now we got a new guy. We got a new system, a good defense. I'm going to be patient with him. And also, we talked about 20 interceptions. I don't have any expectations for touchdowns because
No.
Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, all these guys feeding the ball, right? DeAndre Swift is in the backfield. I don't know if anybody remembers, but the Bears have DeAndre Swift now. You don't think they're going to use some play action and then throw it a bunch and then get him up the middle for 10 to 12 yards and maybe a few touchdowns? Like, I think this offense is going to score both rushing and receiving touchdowns. And it's thumbs up. God,
There you go.
I do that every week. It is, dare we say, a great time to be a Chicago Bears fan. And if you had given up on the Chicago Bears, now's your chance to get in on the ground floor.
Good time to buy back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get in on the ground floor. So, I love the struggles at OTAs. I love that we're going to be in Hard Knocks. I have a little secret that I'd like to share with the general public. I have never watched Hard Knocks before.
Oh, you're missing out.
I
It's
grew
fun.
up in a house that did not have HBO. I never was
fair.
super interested in it because the Bears were never on it. I will be watching every single episode of Hard Knocks, maybe 2 times through.
I can't say I've consumed much Hard Knocks either, to be honest with you.
No, it's fun. Honestly, my favorite iteration was probably the one they just did last year with the in-season one with the Dolphins. Hand up, I'm also like a Mike McDaniels guy. I love him as a head coach. So he definitely made that worth watching in appointment television. But it is cool just seeing the inner workings of a team's practice, of a team's week, getting to know the players off the field, away from the field. And you always have like a player or two that emerges as a personality to take away. It's like, oh man, that guy's a character. I know like the afternoon show and the score was talking, oh, it's gonna be Jalen, it's gonna be Tevin Jenkins. I feel like it's probably gonna be Jalen Johnson because even in his radio hits on the score last season, the guy is careful with what he thinks, but when he wants to make his point, as he was going through his contract negotiations last season, he knows how to. So it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And honestly, I want our kicker to be the one that breaks out. I want a mic on him at all times.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna say some stuff.
You mean the crocodile punter? You're talking the punter, right?
Yes, crocodile punty. Yes,
crocodile
I'm talking
punty.
about him.
There you go.
I want him to be the forefront of the whole thing. Obviously,
that'd be fun.
Obviously, I want Caleb to be a forefront, but
it's gonna be Caleb and Roma Dunze.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, and I hope they do a whole 20-minute feature on Caleb painting his nails.
Oh yeah. Well, there's two things. Knowing Kevin Warren and how he's handled the media, we're going to get that puff segment that just shows Kevin Warren waking up, shows him looking over Alice's statue and just starting his day. That's going to be 20 minutes of the episode one of the week. So be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You're gonna see him at the breakfast table eating a bowl of cereal, and between every bite, he's gonna recite the name of every single Bears legend: Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, Dan Hampton,
exactly.
Mike Singletary, and
Yeah.
then he's gonna go take like 2 5-pound dumbbells and be like, passion, regressiveness,
Exactly.
will to
Tactics.
win. You know you're gonna see that fluff.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. If you're watching this, join us in the chat. Talk about how you feel about the Chicago Bears. We'd love to hear and put on the screen what you feel about the Chicago Bears. We're going to get to the Cubs. We're going to get to the White Sox. We're going to get to all the things that are bad in this world. But I just want a little bit more time with the Chicago Bears here. I want to see how you guys feel about this. I also think on Hard Knocks, there's going to be a segment about talking about the brainstormingness of the new stadium. I do think that it's going to come up at some point, and there's going to be propaganda of why it has to be in downtown Chicago.
I think that's the primary reason why Kevin Warren was pushing for it, was because now it gives him a national platform for his agenda. But here's the thing, like we've been saying, locally, they're getting no traction.
They're not gonna, nobody wants it.
It wasn't even on the agenda for the lawmakers this session in Springfield. So at least it's kicked back until the fall, and we'll see then if it's even on the traction. But hey, props. Like I said,
Arlington Heights is still there.
Like I said last week, if the end is Arlington Heights in a beautiful stadium, salute to Kevin Warren. You got us to the end point, but the way in which we're getting there right now just seems so murky.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly. It's gonna be Arlington Heights. I'm gonna keep telling myself that. I've accepted the fact that it's going to be a closed stadium. I just want grass at this point. Just give me grass. I don't want turf. I want grass. So, all right.
Well, if it's fully closed, you ain't getting that wish.
Yeah,
I know. Any more Bears by anybody? Does anybody have anything to say about the Chicago Bears before we get to the bad things?
No, we can spin to.
Isn't it usually the other way around?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about the Bears and then get to the bad things.
Yeah, that's wow. That has to be a first time for that sentence. You're right.
We'll see how many more times we say it too.
Yeah. All right. Let's ease into this. Let's talk about the Chicago White Sox for a minute.
Yeah.
Look, they have some tradable pieces that they could do things to stuff with and try to build something quick, but I don't know what they're building towards, because I don't think there is anybody from ownership to player like that they should think about keeping long term at this point, because everything seems to be a dumpster fire. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, it's bad. It's super bad.
No.
Yeah, I mean, look at
you're right.
Look at up and down the roster. I mean, I think your brightest spots right now, if you're the White Sox, are Garrett Crochet and Garrett Crochet. And look, Garrett Crochet. Because I mean, listen.
But by the time that it gets to the point where they need to pay him, they're not going to be good yet. So
it's me, Dylan Cease all over again.
Yeah, they got to get rid of him. They got to trade Kopech. They have some value in some of these guys that they have, and they should be jumping
Eric
on it.
Fetty, Tommy Pham are going to be your big trade chips.
Yeah, and they're so bad.
I don't think. Makata's hurt, so
yeah,
they're so bad. They should be thinking about trading their prospects for younger prospects. That's how bad it is down there.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the pitching prospects they acquired at the deadline last year should pan out. But if we're talking about the prospects that Chris Getz inherited, right? Your Colson Montgomerys, your Brian Ramoses. We saw Ramos get a cup of coffee. Honestly, I thought he looked decent. The thing with the White Sox I just don't get is this should be a time in which you're playing young players. This should be a time where you just give Corey Lee the rope at catcher. There should be a time where you just give Oscar Colas right field, see what he can turn into, see what Brian Ramos can turn into at third base. And yet we go a week with them being up on the team, and then, Corey Lee said something bad about Pedro Grifol. We have to send him back down to AAA Iowa. And it's like, what are we doing here? And the weirdness with Pedro Grifol, I don't take issue with him I don't take issue with him calling out his team. That's fine. I do take a little bit issue.
But back up
then,
what you say.
Well, yeah, as I was say, I do take issue when there's no action to what you say, and then when a player calls you out on it, it seems like you're punishing the player as opposed to doing anything other than being a puppet for Tony La Russa.
Yeah,
right. And that brings me to something. Could you guys imagine this scenario for a second? What if Pedro Grifol gets the axe, uncharacteristically gets the axe mid-season, and instead of promoting their bench coach, who I believe was the previous Blue Jays manager, I think he's still on this. Yeah, Montoya. I believe he is still on the staff. Yes. So, what if instead of doing that, they went over to Jerry Sweet? Hey, Tony, you feeling all right? You want to manage again the rest of the year? There's no pressure. Could you imagine the reaction to that?
I think you just made a lot of people upset.
Yeah, they would have to. The team would definitely have to go to the Nashville at that point. But here's the thing: I can't rule it out because Jerry and Tony, probably drinking their Tito's in the suite, would think that's a great idea.
The only reason Tony left is because he had the health issues. He would have still been there no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't say this like, I only say it half jokingly. Because, like you said, if they did that, the reaction would be insane. And then everyone would take a step back and say, why should I be surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair point. That would be tragic. But honestly, where are White Sox fans on it? Which, if you're a White Sox fan and you're watching this, please let us know. But where are White Sox fans on this? What could be worse than what it is now with Pedro Grifol? Like,
I don't think you can get worse.
Would Tony La Russa coming back into the dugout be worse because he's not gonna super develop the young guys that are down there? At least, Pedro Grifol, at least you have a glimpse of maybe he's trying. I don't know.
I don't know. It looks awful under Pedro Grifol. It looks completely dysfunctional under Pedro Grifol, and I mean, Tony La Russa obviously was way past his prime. Tony La Russa as a whole is one of the best managers in baseball history. But when he came back, I mean, yeah, he won a division title, but I mean, this was the guy that was falling asleep in the dugout, calling out his player for swinging 3-0 in a blowout game, who didn't know the rules in extra innings. And walking the guy intentionally on 1 and 2. So that technical stuff from La Russa was bad, but I do at least think, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, that players could at least look at Tony La Russa with an ounce of respect. I don't think these players respect Pedro Grifol at all.
Yeah, nobody does.
Yeah.
I don't think the fans do. I don't think the players do. John Schriffen might, but that's
that's a whole nother issue.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm all for being yourself, but if you want to be yourself, but then also block others from, calling you out, rightfully so, and then not go and share your side of things on public platforms, that's just cowardice behavior. But hey, it speaks to why Jerry likes him.
Well, yeah, I mean he's doing what Jerry wants him to do. He's a direct product of the organization. He's not going to sell anything against Jerry. He's not going to make the team look bad in any sort of way. I mean, it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind when you see how Steve Stone acts with Jerry. This was the guy that left the Cubs because he was so critical of Dusty Baker. You remember 2004, the way that ended? It was the polar opposite. Steve Stone was truly a man who spoke his mind and gave his full thought when he was with the Cubs. But with Jerry, it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a little bit of a mess. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did we lose Tommy?
Cyborg's got him?
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, man. This is why we have 3.
No, maybe Tony La Russa got him.
I know. They're like, oh, can't have it. No, but yeah, this is exactly... The White Sox made their bed, so we have to see now if they can dig themselves out of it. I don't think they can.
Well, obviously not this season. No, you're not going to be making the playoffs this season. I mean, the big issue here is, what's your long-term goal? What is your end game? And that's what a lot of fans question, because they don't know how long this is going to last, where this is going to go. And you might have some promising pieces in the farm, Colson Montgomery. I think Drew Thorpe, the guy they got for Dylan Cease, looks really, really good. I mentioned Garrett Crochet before. But is Luis Robert going to be here for the long run? I don't know. I don't think Yohan Moncada is. And Andrew Vaughn, who is supposed to be one of the centerpieces of this whole thing, looking pretty bad this year. And I mean, in previous seasons, he looked okay. Like last year, he looked okay, but nothing greatly above average. And you drafted him to be a superstar. Now, I do think that... Do you remember how quickly they brought him up? They drafted him. He played a little in Double-A, and then they just brought him up. I think they did him a disservice. I think that he was a more talented bat had he gotten the chance to develop more in the minor leagues. And again, he came up those first few years. You're like, it's not fantastic, but it's not awful. Where right now, it's been a real struggle. And boy, Andrew Benintendi's looking like the worst player in baseball right now. I don't know what the hell happened to that guy.
Yeah, it is bad. And I think your story about Vaughn just speaks to what went wrong with the White Sox overall. They're able to get their prospects or under the past regime, they were able to get their prospects to the major league level, but they just never continue that development at the major league level, and it just crashed and burned.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
Jerry Reinsdorf ate me.
That's what we thought.
It was Jerry. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was Tony La Russa or Jerry, but I figured that the giant hook, the shepherd's hook, came in, grabbed you by your neck, and then you just squirmed as he consumed your soul.
I went down to the depths of hell with Jerry, and he was like, I swear to everything holy, if you say one more word about me and my team, I will murder you in your sleep.
Yeah.
You went wow, you went all the way down and back. That was pretty quick.
It's good timing, huh? No, I think
the express elevator.
I think I might have touched a cord wrong on my desk, and all hell broke loose. I'm glad the stream didn't end, because that would have been awkward.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah, but that's all of White Sox talk. We will, I'm sure this is a story that we will be monitoring through the duration of baseball season. And in case you forgot, we're just a third of the way into this thing. We've got a lot of baseball left to play, but at the same time, the Chicago Cubs need to act immediately if they want to save their season, because I just saw a graphic that scared the bejesus out of me. The Cardinals are here. They have regained second place in the division. They cannot lose to save their lives. They're going to be a problem. And I saw articles late last week, early this week, about who they were going to trade at the deadline. Paul Goldschmidt has told everybody to shove it, and is now all-star caliber again. Nolan Arenado is finding the ball. These young pitchers are panning out, and Wilson Contreras is hurt, and it doesn't seem to be phasing them whatsoever. So
no, they've gotten
Cardinals
stronger.
Are a problem. The Brewers are the best team in the division, and the Chicago Cubs are underperforming with their bats. And Craig Counsell, I mean, he's a great manager. I don't think I'm going to put the blame on him, though, for some of these things, because
no, you can't.
I know exactly who I want to blame at this point, but I want to hear you guys first as to what you think is going on with the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, I mean, the person to blame is Jed Hoyle. I mean, you can't sit here and cry about your inability to hit the ball over the fence when you've told us October after October after October that your team struggles to hit the ball over the fence and struggles to blow teams out. But what do you do when you have a Juan Soto out there to trade for, when you have a Shohei Ohtani out there to sign, when you have a JD Martinez out there to sign, when you have Matt Chapman out there to sign? What do? You try to go outside the box thinking Michael Busch is the answer. I still think Michael Busch is going to be a good first baseman, is going to be a legitimate hitter at the Major League Baseball level. But here's the thing. The 2024 Cubs are meant to contend. If this was 2023, sure, give Michael Busch the extended runway at first base, let him play it out. That's fine. But you're expected to contend this year. Entering a season with Michael Busch being your cornerstone addition to your offense was a mistake. And say what you want about, oh well, we're not going to sign Juan Soto. Look what the Yankees are. The Yankees were a joke last year. They added Juan Soto, and now they're the best team in Major League Baseball.
And Garrett Cole is on the shelf right now. They haven't even
Right.
gotten to their ace yet.
Right. So a superstar bat transforms your entire roster. And the fact that we go off season after off season, and the Cubs refuse to spend money on a superstar bat, it's an insult to our intelligence as baseball fans.
Well, listen, I think a big problem here is you're trying to rely on something just magically getting better, and the reality is you're going to have to make some tweaks here. I do acknowledge the fact that you are paying a number of guys good money on this team that haven't hit consistently. Now, Ian Happ's been better recently, but he's been bad for quite a while before that. Dansby Swanson, your high-paid shortstop, has not paid like the guy that you are paying this year at all. He's had some lapses on defense, which I do blame a bit more on injury, and I think that's going to be okay. But the hitting has not been there, and he's never going to be a superstar hitter, but he's got to be a hell lot better than this, and that has hurt you. The issues with catcher are so glaringly bad. They can't hit, they can't defend, they can't throw, they can't frame. Yan Gomes is old. Father Time wins that battle. Miguel Amaya, huge disappointment. And the problem is, what the hell do you do about it? It's almost like you got to scrounge somewhere for a backup catcher because the only catcher probably worse out there is Martin Maldonado, who's on the White Sox right now. And you are just, that struggled. And I mean, you've gotten so much good from the starting pitching, and so much of it has gone to waste, whether it's you couldn't hit or the bullpen blows it late. And it's like the bullpen finally got good for a stretch. You couldn't hit to save your life. Oh, Milwaukee, maybe the bats are starting to come around. Oh, here comes the bullpen again. I mean, you were essentially a robbed Cody Bellinger home run, that leaping catch. You were that catch away from getting a 4-game sweep to the hands of the Brewers. The Brewers, who develop, and they don't miss a fucking beat. They lose their manager. They trade their ace. They look better than ever right now. They were the third wheel in a trade between the A's and the Braves. They got the better of the three, the fucking Milwaukee Brewers, and they do it year after year after year. And when some guy, goes or he starts sucking, they'll just bring in somebody else. Like it's seamless. It's nothing. Why can't we do that? They've been a step above us for 6 years now. 6 years, and you're still trying to play catch up to the Milwaukee Brewers. It's maddening.
It's maddening, and it comes down to Jed Hoyer as the president of baseball operations. You're absolutely right, Jordan.
Yep.
Year after year after year, we told we need to hit home runs, and we need to get on base, and we need the slug, and we need to do all these things. And then he completely ignores that because, well, this February, Carter Hawkins and him. Well, Miguel Amaya, we believe he's going to be the one. He's going to be the one. Well, guess what? You are wrong. You're very wrong about Miguel Amaya. I'm sure he's a very nice individual. God bless him. He's not a catcher in the major leagues. It's so bad. And I get why you hang on to Yan Gomes. He's a veteran. He's been around. He knows these pitchers, all these things. Like, he's one that you keep around. But when he's your primary, like today after the game, I'm like, man, I wish Yan Gomes was out there. That's a problem. Because that is not a good option at catcher. And so he's backed into a corner.
It makes me wish they still had Kirk Casale. Like, I would, at this point, I would have taken him. You know what the worst part of this is? One of my least favorite signings ever was Tucker Barnhart last year. I'd kill to have Tucker Barnhart's defense back there right now. Even in his post-Gold Glove days. I mean, a few years ago, Tucker Barnhart was a fantastic defensive catcher. He hasn't been that in years, but even right now, take him head over heels over what we have right now.
Yeah, and I'm super frustrated. Like, I think the bullpen and the catching position are my two biggest frustrations. But I should say those are my two biggest on the field frustrations right now. My biggest frustration is, like you said, that the Cubs are never going to make that big move with Jed Hoyer at the helm, because he's all about how the guys are in the farm system below him and how much belief he has in them. He's very biased. He's too biased towards the guys that are in the organization. We need somebody that's going to be like, yes, I understand that the upside for this guy, like, let's just say a name, just to say a name. I understand the upside for Owen Casey and a couple of other these guys in AA and AAA. But Pete Alonso, we know, is a very good first baseman in Major League Baseball and hits home runs on a regular basis. That doesn't happen on the Chicago Cubs right now. And I know Pete Alonso, he's got a bruise on his hand right now. His start of the year hasn't been that good, but look at his second half numbers, just if you're curious. The dude plays baseball very, very well. He's a great first baseman. He hits bombs, and there's nobody on the Chicago Cubs roster right now that you can guarantee is going to give you 25, 30 bombs this year. I know what they want.
Maybe 25, 30 warning track shots.
Right. Yeah. I know what they want Christopher Morel to be, which, by the way, we need to talk about defensively at third base, because the fact that Nick Madrigal is still on this team, let alone coming in and as a defensive sub late in the game for the guy that hit a home run in the game, you're going to put that's a problem in itself. But
so done with that. I'm so done with that.
Yes, I am too. And the thing is, like, we need power. I need power somewhere. Elias Diaz is the top of my trade list. That is who I want. He is batting 300. He doesn't give you the home runs, but he's getting on base. He's batting 300. And we need a catcher. We need a catcher that can do something, literally anything, except for what is happening on this team at catching right now. But with who we have on this team right now, Pico Armstrong is back. I think the Cubs realized immediately that was a mistake, and they had to wait this certain period of time. Now he's back. Pico Armstrong is your center fielder.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Pico Armstrong is your center fielder. I want Cody Bellinger at first base. I want the combination of Michael Busch, Ian Happ, and Mike Tauchman just to take turns. Somebody's a DH, somebody's playing the field, and somebody's sitting out. I'm sorry, that's just how it has to go. And Cody Bellinger, a DH too. Craig Counsellor said that he was going to play right field, so I'm fine. Whatever. I don't care. Christopher Morel is not a third baseman. He gave a hell of a run at it. Great. But all he is right now is a DH. If this team is going to try to actually win a World Series, he's a DH on this team. I want a third baseman. We have a third baseman that I'm ready to give the job to. And his name is Matt Shaw. Oof. He hasn't had great numbers this year. In AA, he's raking. In AAA, he didn't do so hot. But at the rate that the Cubs are just giving people chances, Luis Vasquez was up here for no reason. Nick Madrigal's on this team for no reason. Even if you just want a defensive stub, I know that Matt Shaw can play defense. So bring him in the eighth inning, and he doesn't have to ground the ball and then take 4 steps and then fire a shot like Nick Madrigal does. He gets the ball, he throws across the diamond, it's an out. What are we doing? We're, like you said, we're wasting pitching. We're wasting this. It's just frustrating because it feels like we're wasting another year where we could be not a wild card team, but winning this division by 5 or 6 games. And here we are, what are we, 4.5, 5.5 down now in third place. and now we have to play the Reds 7 times, who beat us on a regular basis. The White Sox are going to beat us at least once. Like, vibes
They
are
always
bad,
elevate their
boys.
game against the Cubs. You know it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vibes are terrible. Vibes are terrible, and I'm putting it on Jed Hoyer. I'm not going to blame Craig Counsell. I think Craig Counsell is a great manager, and I think he's looking at Jed and like, this is what you promised me. This is what you gave me. You told me that we were going to run this thing, and this is what you give me. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm talking in circles now. I'm upset.
I have a take.
No.
I have a take. You're talking about
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys feel about it.
Please.
When we're talking about defense and defensive replacements, the guy I actually want DHing more often than not is Seiya, and I love Seiya, but those routes, man, and some of those routine plays,
Yeah.
and the one thing that Seiya really had going for him in his rookie year, he had a hell of an arm, and then
Yeah.
a few nights ago in St. Louis, the difference maker, that throw to Miguel Amaya to the plate, Miguel could have made a better tag, but that's any more strength of that throw, he's out by 5 feet.
Yeah.
And it's just the defense seems to keep regressing for him. And
yeah, that's a
I still really like him as a hitter, but
yeah, that's a great point, because what if they say, you know what, why don't you DH for 2 weeks and don't think about the field? Imagine if he's thinking about his hitting. He hit a bomb today. Like, he's got a pretty swing, a great swing. What if he's only focusing on that? Like, that could turn things around. The other frustrating thing about today is, like, all the guys that we expect to hit home runs today, and we still lost.
Bellinger, Suzuki, Morel, yep.
Yeah, and what the hell is Dansby doing? Like, I love Dansby, and I still think that his contract is not a bad contract, but we need more from him. Like, that's all I can say is, like, we just need more from him, and that's easy. This is all very easy for me to say. I'm sitting at my desk with a microphone in front of my computer screen, talking about a grown-ass man talking about grown-ass men playing a kid's game and getting paid millions of dollars for it. I understand the circumstances here, but I'm also a season ticket holder that paid thousands of dollars to watch these bums play baseball, and I want to see good baseball.
Yeah, I mean, that's even with Dansby, that's kind of shows what the Cubs prefer, because the biggest question about Dansby signing last year was, how long is the offense going to be sustainable? His 2 offensive seasons with the Braves prior to free agency were excellent, but his first 5 years in the league were inconsistent. And it seems like, whether it's the injury, whether it's age, he's regressed back to the shortstop that is a great fielder, but struggling to hit the ball with any sense of authority. And if that's the case, it's going to be a long 5 years after this, because that contract is going to age awfully.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Right now, I'm still okay with the contract. Ask me again next year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So, if anybody, like, if you guys are watching this, please drop in the chat who your top trade piece is for the Cubs to fix them. I want to ask you guys your top trade pieces. I said mine is Elias Diaz out of Colorado. He's a catcher. He's batting .300. The Rockies stink, and I want him. And he's got free agency coming up, but I feel like you don't often see guys trade for catchers at the deadline, because that is really difficult. You need to do a spring training's worth of work with the pitchers in a matter of days, maybe even hours. So I get why it doesn't happen, but at this point, if you're not desperate, then you're not trying, because we have no catchers that are available to us right now. So that's my pick. I want to hear what you guys' pick is.
Yeah, mine is going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is under contract past the season. So unlike Pete Alonso, where Judd's whole pushback is he doesn't want to trade prospects for someone who's going to be a free agent after the season, you would still have Guerrero Jr. past this season. And here's the thing. We've seen Guerrero Jr.'s floor this season and last season. It's still a good hitter who could at least hit 25 home runs. His ceiling is an MVP hitter that could hit potentially 50 home runs. So whether his good player is that he is now, or the MVP player that he was a couple years ago, you're still getting a massive addition to that lineup.
Timeout. I obviously, if you were watching this, you saw me gasp and smile. Usually, I'm
your mouth did a perfect O.
Usually, I'm the one that's asking for the world, and
No,
then
yeah.
you guys are the ones saying you're out of your mind. You saying that just baffles me, because
Well-
there's no chance.
The only reason why I think it's somewhat conceivable he could get moved is I think the Blue Jays will be retooling this year. I do think Guerrero Jr. is more likely than Bo Bichette, only because you can move him, you can still get a decent package, and a team acquiring Guerrero Jr. would be more inclined to acquire that power hitter, as opposed to someone like Bo Bichette, who Bo Bichette, one of the best infielders in baseball, but Guerrero Jr. his upside just is more appealing in terms of what the Blue Jays would be looking for in a
Look,
retool.
you have my vote, obviously. Like, that would be incredible. And you know, it would be kind of symbolic is I think the Cubs uniforms are the closest to what the Expos were with the pinstripes.
Pretty close, yeah.
I mean, we've already seen one Vladdy in some blue pinstripes like that. That would look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it would cost, but it's the type of trade where I think Jed, if he is going to make a trade for an impact hitter, it would be someone who can have an impact beyond the season.
See, and that's where this thing all gets held up, because he's gonna make a move, and it's gonna be for a veteran reliever that's not even as good as Kenley Jensen, and he's gonna be like, "Look, we trust our guys." That's what's gonna happen. But
Pretty much.
Alex, what would be at the top of your trade list?
So Diaz was one of mine, and just to be different, I will stick with the Blue Jays, but I will go with Danny Jensen, the catcher there. That's been talked about quite a bit over the past few weeks, and I think that you're getting an overall good catcher that can hit, and I think that it makes a lot of sense because that's a move that's not necessarily a cornerstone piece that you can acquire for the Blue Jays. They're selling off, which I mean they're well behind the Yankees and the Orioles. So, their chances, they're right. I mean, they're not an awful team, but they're in a really tough division. It's really hard for them to get back into it. And I do kind of want to give a little shout to the possibility of a Pete Alonso. I mean, there's been so much smoke around the Pete Alonso Cubs thing, and the Mets are clearly going nowhere. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not saying to rule it out. I think what's going to be very interesting about this upcoming trade deadline is you're going to have to evaluate the biggest holes on your team. Assuming you are indeed in position to buy, you're really going to have to buy for need because they.
Oh, is that me or you?
I think
do
that's
it.
Alex.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you say all of that again?
Where did I cut off?
Right
Pete
about where they
Alonso.
might sell, but if they're going to buy, they have to address their needs.
Well, yeah, I mean, my whole point was you're going to have to address the glaring holes if you're in position to buy. This can include catcher, this can include relief depth, this can include another productive power hitter. You're going to have to do something if you want to win anything of consequence this year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And here's the thing about catcher. You want to make that trade soon because it's not where you're just adding a hitter to your lineup and go out there. No, you're adding a potential starting catcher who has to learn 5 different starting pitchers, who has to learn 6 to 7 relief pitchers. It's not something that happens overnight. It's the same hesitancy that we saw teams express a couple of years ago when the Cubs were trying to trade Wilson Contreras, where they were like, look, we like him as a DH, but we're not going to trade for him as a catcher and the costs because it's too short of a time, a 2-month period, to get someone to ramp up as a starting catcher.
And maybe that strikes them a little bit of a discount too, of like how much of a disadvantage it is. But also, teams probably know how desperate the Cubs are for catching. So I don't know.
Right.
I think Elias Diaz. I think Elias Diaz is very gettable because everybody
Same.
knows the Rockies are going nowhere. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get something for him, but you're not trading an ace pitcher. You're not looking for the blockbuster deal with this kind of guy. And I'd be fairly aggressive. If the Cubs are serious about this, I would really be fairly aggressive with a guy like Elias Diaz. And it's a guy you can trust. And to your point, Jordan, talking about bringing him in sooner than later, you can look at other times where the Cubs acquired a catcher late, but we're talking like third string catchers. We're not looking for an
Right.
Alex Avila or a Rene Rivera or a Martin Maldonado to be your 3 catcher. I mean, you're kind of looking for your first guy at this point with the way Jan Gomes is going. So it's a bit more of a dire need, and it's less of a luxury and more of just a necessity.
Yeah, and there's also some room in the salary cap too, a little bit, or towards the threshold. So if the Cubs needed to, take Elias Diaz and say, you know what, why don't we also take another big contract that you guys off of your hands? Maybe they strike a deal there. I don't know if anybody on the Rockies has an expensive contract that may not be living up to their hype.
No, stop.
Maybe
Stop.
I'm kidding. That was
Stop.
a joke. That was a joke.
Stop.
I get it.
At first, you sounded a little serious, and then I saw your eyes bug a little bit. I'm like, okay, now he's full of shit.
Yeah,
all right. I do.
There's only one player
have,
from the 2016 Cubs I want back, and that's Schwarber.
There's yeah. We're not getting Schwarber.
No.
Okay, but I want to run this past you guys, and this was I was thinking this probably. I think it was Monday. I had this thought on Monday, and Matt Spiegel on 670 The Score, he took it today. He took my thought. I didn't say it to anybody, but he took it. So now I have to say it. At what point? Now, the Cubs, granted, they could do this if they're buyers or sellers. They could move Cody Bellinger. He's on a 3-year deal, like options. So technically, he's going to be a free agent after this year, I'm assuming. They could move him to a Yankee, to a somebody, and get something back. It's not out of the realm. It wouldn't super hurt my feelings, but it would make me upset because I feel like this would be the first move of them saying, yeah, this year's a wash. And that would make me upset. But depending on what they could get back for Cody Bellinger, maybe it's at least worth looking at. Or am I already thinking like a loser too early?
Yeah, I think you are. I mean, no offense, because I think
that's
now...
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I can take it. Like, maybe I am just thinking, maybe I am over being a little dramatic about losing these games relatively early in the season. Like, we're not that bad.
No, the stretch the Cubs are in is bad, but we're not at the point where we're considering trading Cody Bellinger, considering what that signing meant to the players in the clubhouse. And just from Cody's perspective, his start this season, while good, it's not as good as it was last season. So, like right now, you mentioned the Yankees. Highly doubtful that the Yankees would offer what they were offering last year. Reportedly, the Yankees offered the Cubs Jason Dominguez, who was their top prospect last season, for Cody Bellinger, who would have been ready for Major League Baseball had it not been for, I think it was Tommy John surgery that he had. But you're not getting that type of offer for Cody Bellinger at least right now. If it, say, 3 more weeks, the Cubs slide continues, Cody turns it on, then sure, we can talk. But I just don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, we're probably not there yet. And I'm okay with that because I don't want to think like that. I want to think about being a winner, and I want to figure out this roster. Just think of how good they would be if they get like a Vladdy or a Pete, and they stick him at first. Let's say Pete Crow Armstrong in center. Maybe they are able to shift Cody to right and Seiya as a DH. Maybe they bring up Matt Shaw as a third baseman. I don't know.
I don't think they'll call up Shaw soon.
No, I don't think so. It's going to be a September.
Yeah, because I mean,
early in the year when Morel was struggling, I was like, we're going to see him in May. But now it's probably going to be like September, maybe a call up at the end of the year.
And here's the thing. especially with the top prospects, the Cubs want them to dominate at each level. He was in a pretty big offensive slump with Tennessee for the past month and a half. He seems to be turning it around.
Looks much
this
better
past-
recently, yeah.
Yeah, a couple
past
home runs in
recently.
a
I
row
believe,
the other
I was gonna
night.
say, I believe he homered yesterday too.
Yeah.
So he seems to be turning it around. I don't think we're going to see that AA to major league jump for Shaw like we saw for Morel. Do I think by the All-Star break he's going to be up in AAA? Sure. I just don't think Shaw is going to be a reliable answer.
I'm just
And
surprised we saw Vasquez as early as we did. I did not see that.
that
coming in.
promotion makes sense, but it goes back to what we're saying about Jed Hoyle. You can't be looking at your prospects as a solution. Yes, you have some highly touted prospects. Yes, the potential is there. But if you're looking at Owen Casey, Matt Shaw, hell, even Cade Horton as a solution to your problem, that's an issue because winning teams don't depend on their prospects like that.
Well, I mean, if you really want to think about it, think about 2016. Think about what the Cubs did. They were like, we need a closer. Bam, Gleyber Torres. Thank you for your service. Like that.
Well, and
that's just what it was. Like,
and here's the thing. I think now we're just getting to the difference between Theo and Jed. Theo was not afraid of making the big move. A lot of times, to his fault, we saw that is what ended his time with the Red Sox. He continuously went for the big move. His big moves didn't work. He had to go. He went to the Cubs. A lot of his big moves with the Cubs right away hit. He had another big move lined up for the Cubs in 2018. We all know who that is. He's playing first base for the Phillies right now. Unfortunately, Ricketts plunged the spending and he couldn't make that move. And that drastically changed what the Cubs' contention window was.
Yeah.
But now Ricketts' caution to spend on top of Hoyer's preference to build through the farm system has created a dangerous combination for the Cubs that, quite frankly, I don't see them getting out of because I don't think they're ever going to be in a position to get that big bat. Maybe I'll be proven wrong by July 31st and Pete Alonso is indeed hitting tanks at Wrigley Field. I would be ecstatic. I just don't see Jed making that move.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week too about the Shota deal and how the Cubs kind of got a steal for it, and it's gonna be a victory lap for Jed of like, see, we didn't go after the big money, and look at us getting this guy. Like, so it's it is dangerous, and it's not a situation where Tom Ricketts is ever gonna be like, Jed, get out of here, like, because.
Right.
He's saving him money and still putting a product on the field of which us idiots are paying to go see. So
exactly,
it's it's Jerry Reinsdorf's dream, quite frankly.
Jerry Reinsdorf wants to win. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed on the Cubs. I think we addressed it all here. They need a bullpen, they need a catcher, they need an infielder, and they need a power bat. So,
but other than that, everything's great.
Yeah. But other than that, like, hey, by the way, Ben Brown.
Yeah, give him his flowers. He looks good.
Yeah.
Ben Brown gives me Kerry Wood vibes with the stuff he throws, the way he executes.
Did you see the numbers on his curveball? Guys are swinging
insane.
and missing 57% of the time. That's
pretty
nasty. Insane. Yeah, I mean, he looked dominant. I wish he kept going, but I completely understand taking him out. I'm not gonna get mad at Craig Counsell about that. Like,
no,
I'm gonna get mad at the bullpen for blowing it, and I'm gonna get mad at the bullpen for blowing the save, and not getting him the win after he pitched a no hitter. But Ben Brown, man, like, what do you think is his future? You think he's gonna be a starter?
Long term, I definitely think Soto. This year maybe closer, depending on. Well, it depends. It depends on what they trade for. If they trade for a closer, probably rotation, maybe your bullpen ace. If they decide to trade for a power hitter or a catcher, then maybe you try Ben Brown as closer.
That's fair.
I mean, he's shown he can do multiple roles. We've seen him start and be very good. We've seen Ben Brown come out in a like multi-inning relief and he's looked good. We've seen him pitch in some late innings. I mean, so far every situation he's come in, you've seen the promise there. I would love for him to be a starter, but there's also the reality that he might just need to be placed where he's needed. Whether that's
Right.
the bullpen or the rotation, because things are going to get interesting when Jordan Wicks comes back. Jordan Wicks is not going to the bullpen. He is a starter. So you have Shota Imanaga, Jamison Tyone, Jordan Wicks, Javier
Justin
Assad,
Steele.
Justin Steele, and do you go Ben Brown 6-man?
I
I
would
don't
love
know.
to see a 6-man rotation because
Yeah.
I thought so Shota had 10 days of rest and we saw what happened. And Craig Counsell said it's because in Japan they went with a 6-man rotation over there. And it's 5-man rotation usually over here.
Right.
Let's just solve the problem right now. Guys, you're getting 6 days rest. Deal with it. Let's just try it and see what happens when Jordan Wicks comes back, Because Ben Brown, that was incredible. 7 innings he gave us. 7 innings. It's like he's coming into form. And there's not a Kyle Hendricks holding him back anymore. This is like,
no, there's not.
Do the things to stuff. So
yeah,
I would love to see a 6-man rotation. I think it would be healthy. I think it would be good. And come
Yeah.
playoff time, let's say that we're playing in the playoffs, then I mean, you could go 5 innings and then 4 innings and then 5 innings and then 4 innings. Like,
well, yeah. I mean,
it's
that's
a
the
good
thing.
situation to be in.
That's the thing. If you do have Ben Brown stretched out for the rest of the season, then you get to a potential postseason where, sure, Assad might give you 3-4 innings, but here comes Ben Brown, who has, quite frankly, the best swing and miss stuff we've seen from a Cubs prospect in a while. It starts with that curveball, which is just devastating the hitters. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
It is good. I mean, you know what's really frustrating about this whole thing with the offense not hitting or the bullpen is you have right now a lot of good problems to have in the starting rotation. I mean, we just listed 6 guys that are worthy of being in the rotation on top of one of the starters you relied on being completely ineffective. And despite that, you still have 6 guys you can rely on once Jordan Wicks comes back. So you have this great situation with the starting rotation, but here you are, a game under 500 with all the other problems you have. It's just incredibly frustrating because we've seen some pretty mediocre to shit rotations over the past few years. I mean, go back to 2021 when that rotation was an absolute joke. This is the complete opposite now.
So
and
bad.
it's frustrating.
Yeah, you're dead on. It is super frustrating. And the bullpen is just so concerning too, because I will say, like, I love Drew Smiley in a long relief role of like, hey, we need 4 innings from you tonight, and then he gives them. Like, I've always thought Drew Smiley was perfect for that role, but Hayden Wesneski is showing his bad side right now. Hector Neris can't just have a clean inning for once. Jose Cuas is out of our lives probably for good. I'm scared that when Adbert comes back, they're going to be like, here's the 8th inning. We have a 1-run lead and the bases are loaded.
I don't think he's coming back this year.
I hope not. But it's just we need something out there. So a Kenley Jensen would be incredible. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would sell the house for Mason Miller. I know he gave one up today, or was it today or last night that he gave one up? I don't know, but I would sell the house for him. But the bullpen just needs to be addressed, because if we can go every single game giving up 3 to 4 runs or less, preferably less, this offense should be able to give us 6 a night, maybe an off night here or there. I'm not asking them to go undefeated the rest of the way. That's insane. You're going to lose some. You're not going to do what you're supposed to every single night. There's 162 games, but there's no reason why asking your offense with Cody Bellinger and Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki, all these guys, there's no reason they can't give us at least 4 or 5 a night. They've been giving us 1 or 2 recently. And it's like, yeah, Shota's out here pitching a gem and Ben Brown's out here pitching a gem, but for what? you're just gonna blow it. So yeah, this team is not right now. It's not a playoff team. The Chicago Cubs are not a playoff
Doesn't look
team.
like one.
Doesn't seem like it. Yep.
Whatever. Next week when we talk, positive vibes, because we will have swept the Reds and the White Sox consecutively on our way to
Okay.
Cincinnati.
I wish.
I want to talk about the city of Chicago for a second.
Okay.
This weekend was Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Twice, my wife Anna and I were able to just go ride our bikes over to the lakefront and just chill on the lakefront on beautiful days. The skyline right there, the beautiful green grass, the beautiful Lake Michigan. Summertime in Chicago is so back. And I am so happy about it. I love this city. I love this town. And it gets such a bad rep in the wintertime because it's so miserably cold and windy and gross. But you fight through those winters to get to the summertime. And summertime in Chicago is unbeatable. Anywhere in the world, in summertime, you want to be in Chicago. And I just love it so much, and I'm so glad it's back. So you can catch me at Wrigley or on the golf course or doing this podcast or right next to the lake this summer, because those are the only 4 things that I will be attempting to do.
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay, great.
Fair enough.
Well, boys, I guess we could wrap it up here. I have nothing else to say. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I think we're gonna be in a better spot next week.
We're gonna be in a better spot next week.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Oh, and hey, by the way, quick shout out to Danny Rocket on Twitter. I'll be Saturday at 12. I'll be at Almost Tavern for part of the Ranter Fest, so that's going to be a lot of fun as they celebrate. I'm going to be on the Bitch Clock segment too, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out Ranter Fest and the charity that goes to Lost Boys. That's a very good cause for youth baseball. And, I won't be able to make it to the game that night, but I'll at least be in Wrigleyville that afternoon. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, just shout out to that and hopefully it should be a good time.
Yeah, shout out Danny Rocket. I was very upset that I was going to miss it. My in-laws are in town this weekend, so I'll be hanging out
Can't
with them.
ditch that.
Can't ditch that.
Nope.
Legally bound. But I'm taking
and physically bound too.
Right. Yes.
Right.
But on Saturday I will be at Wrigley. I'm taking my father-in-law to the game. I'm not sure if he's ever been to Wrigley or not. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
There you go.
I'm excited to give him that experience. So Alex, I'll text you when you're in Wrigley because we will probably also be in Wrigley as well. Feel free to park by me if you need to.
Cool.
And what else was I gonna? Oh yeah, I was very upset that I was gonna miss the Ranter Fest because it sounded like so much fun. I had a really good conversation with Danny right after the first game of the year. We watched the game at Country Club with the CHGO boys, and Danny was there, and he and I talked outside for like 30, 45 minutes, and he was telling me about this, and I was like, yes, I so want to do it. And then I saw the date. I was like, no. So I'm very upset I'm missing it. So make sure you rub some shoulders and put the name of the pod out there a little bit.
I will.
Good. All right, boys. I think I named it last week. Who named it last week? Who wants to name it this week? All right, who wants to name it?
Is it Jordan's turn?
Yeah, Jordan. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Summertime Shy is back.
Summertime Shy is back. That's way too positive for what this podcast
is
about.
No kidding.
But I love that. Also, I just put out there if let's see, we got 5 games, right? 3 against the Reds, 2 against the White Sox. If we lose 3 of them, I'm just cutting my hair off.
Okay.
I'm just like
writing that down.
There you go.
I'm just
welcome to the club.
Cutting it off. Going Buzz. Secretly, this.
You wear a hat all the time anyway. Why does it matter?
Exactly.
I know.
It doesn't
right.
matter. It doesn't matter. I wear a hat all the time anyway. So my wife likes my hair long, but in the summertime, I like to cut it all off and call myself her summertime boyfriend.
There you go.
And the Cubs losing, which happens more times than not, is just the perfect excuse to cut it off. So cutting it off.
Fair enough.
Join the club.
All right, boys. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. And either Wednesday or Thursday next week, we haven't really discussed it, but we'll let you know. Peace and blessings. We'll talk to you later.
See you later.
See ya.